Hi guys, it's GK. BTS won the Van Fleet Award on the 7th, and team leader RM's acceptance speech is mentioned as a hot potato in China. He said 2020 marks 70th anniversary of the Korean War, and we must remember the history of hardships that the two countries have experienced together and the sacrifices of many people. Although it is not strange to anyone, but it is controversial in China. China called Korean War resisting the US and aid Korea. It means they helped North Korea against the US. Chinese internet users claim that the two countries in the acceptance speech represent South Korea and the United States, which is a disregard for the sacrifice of Chinese soldiers and China's national dignity. What I want to tell you is a media called Global Times, which reported it for the first time. As I've told you many times on our channel, you can consider this the sisterhood of the People's Daily, a Chinese official media. Why did the Global Times maliciously report RM's acceptance speech? Well, currently, China is exhausted due to the struggle with the US. The economy is going through a recession, semiconductors are stuck in the US sanction, and they will feel uncomfortable due to pandemic origin. So they try to strengthen internal solidarity to guarantee their own political system like North Korea. One of their attempts is the Korean War fabrication. China has been propagating Great China by bringing up the 70th anniversary of the Korean War, saying that the China's power beat the US during the war. But RMO BTS said like that during the speech, so it absolutely made Chinese government upset. Hu Xijin, editor of the Global Times, absolutely said like to react to the US with the nuclear weapons or to quarantine all Koreans in the pandemic. A white citizen should take issue with malicious media reports, but Chinese internet users completely believe the news currently. I would like to show how they react to the news straightforwardly. There are some uncomfy things to hear, so please be aware of it. You come to China once or twice a year and earn about 100 million yuan, but ignoring the sacrifices of Chinese soldiers who died on the Korean peninsula. No pop stars before the nation. I will make you regret this. Speak out loud, armies. Do you know how many Chinese soldiers were killed on the Korean peninsula? Look at the attitude of them that you like so much. Wake up. Are you Korean or Chinese? Fangirls don't have brains actually. I didn't like BTS from the beginning, and this time I was right too. He must have decided to give up the Chinese market, which earns more than 100 yuan every year. Actually, BTS targeted American market, not Chinese. What I've learned from this case is that BTS doesn't take Chinese army seriously. I'm out. There's no pop stars before the nation. Artists are same as us, isn't it? Would South Korea exist now without the US? It's obvious for Koreans to say thank you to the US. Can't even say thank you just because they have Chinese fans? I still like them, but I'm going to give up. There are a lot of important things than pop stars. Let's move on. It would be understandable to Korean, not Chinese though. I don't want them to stay in the line with China, but this is too much. I'm out. You're right, they are Korean. They take Korean side if some political conflicts occur. But we Chinese have our own position. They insulted our ancestors and killed Chinese soldiers in public. Isn't Korea a colony of the US? I think it's just that much. Samsung and most companies are dominated by the US capital. Many other businesses are influenced by the US too. Korea's geographical location is basically an independent country. So, of course, BTS will take US side. Don't be upset and just think that much. My 60th-year army friend got out of the fan club today and said BTS DNA is from the USA. The following picture is a poster written by the Chinese internet user. Whether they are a fan of BTS or not, it is their choice to remain as army. No one has the right to ask them recklessly, such as quit the fan clubs, or whether their nation comes first or BTS does. What are you to blame them? BTS has their own nation, so that is why RM said like that at the speech. Why are our view distorted and overinterpreted? You say they are wrong on the point of view of China, but everyone has their own perspective. Then, if BTS does not mention the sacrifice of the nation's ally in the speech, instead says that they will cherish the sacrifice of the Chinese army, do you think it is a common opinion from a man who has a common sense? As I said, BTS has its own nation and point of view. Where does the logic of choosing between their homeland and China come from? Does it make sense to force China's position on them because we are Chinese? Did any Chinese celebrity mention the sacrifice of the Korean army? The Prime Minister of China received an apology from the Japanese Prime Minister for the Sino-Japanese War, and he said we should receive it from Korea too. I think he really doesn't know history. The Korean War is a war in which the North Korea invaded the South, and we participated in the war to help invading South Korea. You have no right, grounds, or logic to tell them anything. This is just a witch hunting. Shame all of you. Shall we check the comments on the posting? Who doesn't know that they are Korean and love Korea? I'm Chinese and I love China, and I have my point of view just like them. So what's wrong with blaming them? Some fans aren't even as patriotic as your artists. Isn't it normal for us to drop out the fan clubs just that BTS speaks for their country? Consider your surrounding if you're still their fan. I'm out too. It makes me feel so bad, but I stand for my country first. Yeah, you're right. BTS is from Korea, and it's not wrong that BTS loves their nation. But what makes me really upset is you ARMY who covering up BTS even though there is a problem. I'm sure there are a lot of minors out there. Please think of those who died fighting for our country with the 5-star red flag. Learn more war history, son. Here is another posting on the Chinese website. It's really painful. My friend asked me to go into Weibo around 3:30 p.m. After I read the posting, I felt cold in my heart. I fully understand BTS, and I fully know they are such nice guys, but I am Chinese, so I can't compromise for them. As a student, I have saved up my allowance last month to buy their albums, and I plan to go to concert when it is held. In the evening, I spaced out myself at school and listened to Dear My Friend and So Far Away for like 3 hours. They always comforted me when I was in such a hard time. And I crushed on BTS for the first time in my life, but I think it will be the last. Let's see the comments of this posting. I'm sorry, we like BTS, but we are Chinese. I'm sorry too, they are the only artists I ever loved. I'm disappointed too. I think this conflict can be relieved only when BTS take this seriously. If not, a lot of Chinese army will leave and never come back. The speech should have been prepared by the agency, and I guess RM did that because he is good at English, but it doesn't mean he did the right thing. Alright, let's see a few more comments. Army will feel terrible. I feel terrible for the ignoring of Chinese soldiers. I just want Army to immigrate to Korea. Chinese Army get the worst service even though they spent the most money. Korea think China is the main culprit that interrupted unification. They don't know that if China didn't participate in the war, there would be a peaceful Korea now. Because we have senior members of the revolution, not Korean celebrity, we can enjoy the freedom to like Korean artists and watch them on TV. The independence heroes would cry in their graves if they saw this. Actually, I have another question. Do Koreans think that their level of education is enough for them? I really think there is no such thing as education in Korea. It is impossible for Chinese artists to go to the world after that, right? Army, do not apologize instead of your oppa online in China. Not to mention an apology. Do you know how many employees in China and Korea are involved in the Korean entertainment? How many Korean entertainers and practitioners? If all these things are suspended due to this incident, the main culprit is BTS and you, Army. These actions of Chinese internet users are actually embarrassing Chinese government. China is globally alone, so they are very desperate to seek their side. They were asking South Korea for a warm helping hand recently, but now this incident is making the Chinese government more embarrassing. Why are so many BTS related postings on Weibo disappeared and can be seen in the search ranking? China's foreign ministry said it was paying attention to internet users' responses, but it actually means that they tried to prevent the situation from getting bigger. How pathetic nations, pathetic media, and pathetic citizens are they? Now, aren't there a clear future ahead of us how armies around the world will move and China will be treated? One of the reasons why BTS is so popular is the right historical view and the good personality. Dear BTS, don't mind China. We Korean and Army got your back. Please go out to the world and shine Korea. We will dump the trashes. Don't put the dirt on your hand. Thank you for watching. Have a happy day.